Hi everyone. Just a bit of a warning. They're currently doing some work around my place, so I'm not sure how bad the sound will be. Hopefully you'll all be able to hear what I'm saying. So this video is going to be one of two parts. Lately I've been really looking into and organizing my plans for homeschooling, so I thought I would talk a bit about that. So this first video is going to be on what I'm doing right now with my daughter only being 9 months old and how I intend to proceed into the future, or at least how I intend to proceed into the near future. So first I'll talk about the idea of homeschooling a baby, because as far as a lot of people are concerned, homeschooling is something that should be put off. A lot of people view homeschooling as... A lot of people seem to have a very narrow idea of what homeschooling actually is, and a lot of people seem to think that it's school at home. So for a lot of people, homeschooling is something that you start when the kid's about 4 to 6 years old, which is about when you would put them in kindergarten. However, I prefer not to think of homeschooling as schooling. I prefer to think of it as everyday learning. For me, every parent really starts homeschooling their child when their child is an infant. Babies learn a lot in their first year. Small children learn a lot. And just because they're not formally in school doesn't mean they're not doing what they would be doing if they were in school. So I think I should clarify, I'm not against schooling. I think that public school is necessary. I think that it has a lot of potential. I also think that right now there's a lot of room for improvement. So my reasoning for wanting to homeschool my daughter has nothing to do with me being against the school system. I'm also not against putting her in a public school at some point. It's just that with the plans that we have set out for ourselves at the moment, homeschooling will probably be what ends up being best for our family. And I think that how your child is schooled really does need to be determined on a family-to-family basis. So I think that public school is best for a lot of families. However, I don't think it's the best way for a lot of children to learn. This is because there's a lot of children to one teacher, so it slows the learning process down. A lot of kids could learn a lot faster if they're able to learn at their own pace, because they could slow down with the subjects that they need extra help with, but they could speed up with the subjects that they find easy or more enjoyable. So for the family that can homeschool their child, I do think that homeschooling can be a better option. That said, I don't think everybody should homeschool. There are obviously really good reasons not to, and if you don't think you should homeschool, that's probably a good indication that you shouldn't. But again, I think it's something that should be taken on a family-to-family basis. So now on to my plans. So obviously I'm not going to be expecting my 9-month-old to do workbooks. I'm not going to expect her to know how to read or write. She can't even speak yet. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things that I can do. And one of the best things that I've been doing is just surrounding her with opportunities. We have yearly passes to both our local zoo and our science center. So we take her there, and she's able to just play and explore and look at things and be surrounded by all sorts of, people and animals and just things to see and do. And babies are very hands-on. They very much learn by doing. So another thing that we've been doing is just, surrounding her with certain types of toys. She has Mega Blocks, even though she can't really use them yet, but she does enjoy exploring them. We can point out the different colors and shapes, and so she does learn from them, even though she's not able to actually properly build. She also likes it when we build things for her and then she can take them apart. And I think that's a really important part of learning how to build. So even though she's not technically of the age to be playing with Mega Blocks, she's learning a lot. Another thing that we have for her is a stacking ring. And she really likes taking the rings off of the stack. She can't stack them back up, but she's really good at taking them off. And again, we can point out shapes and colors and sizes to her using the stacking rings. Hi. But we also read to her, we play her music, and we've been teaching her sign language. Hi. She can't sign back yet, but she does understand certain signs, like milk. So when we say milk to her, she knows that she's going to be getting a bottle, and she'll get really excited. We can ask her if she's hungry, and if she is, she'll get excited again. We can also do the sign for food when we're giving her food, and she knows that it's food. We also sign mommy and daddy at her so that she knows who we are, and that's the sign for us. And when we go to the zoo, I've been signing some of the animal names to her so that she can start picking up those. So yeah, even though she can't do the signs herself, she is learning what they mean, and she's associating them to words. Then we try and read to her every day. And again, that'll associate pictures with words. So if I point out a picture of an elephant and say that's an elephant, she gets an idea of what an elephant is rather than, it just being a word. And then again, we play a lot of music for her. So pretty much every day we play a variety of music. I like to play music that's not English so that she at least hears other languages, because in our household we only ever speak English. So otherwise she doesn't really get a lot of exposure to other languages. But I also like playing music because I would eventually like to put her into music lessons. So I'm hoping that by having her hear different instruments, it'll help her get a little bit of a ear for the different sounds. My daughter does seem to be really good with hearing different beats. She can bounce to the different beats. She'll dance to music, and she even will make noises along to the beat. So even though she can't actually sing or talk, she's following the music quite well. And she also really likes music. So I think by providing her with lots of music, it'll help her in, if nothing else, in her mood. It'll keep her entertained and happy. So to keep her entertained and happy and help her mind grow. We also like to give her things that make noise to play with. So we've gotten her some little instruments, mainly percussion instruments for her to play with. She has some drumsticks that she likes to bang on things and smack together. It also goes with a drum, but for the most part she just smacks them on whatever. She has some maracas that she uses as basically just rattles, and other similar instruments that just shake. So she just likes things that make noise. We also will give her keys to play with. As is common with babies these days, she does like to play with our smartphones. However, we try to limit the amount of technology she is exposed to at this point in time. So she does watch a little bit of TV. We're not anti-technology. We just also don't want her relying completely on it. So every once in a while I'll let her play with my phone. And that mostly means chewing on my case, but sometimes she will open up apps and stuff like that. So I do have a kid-friendly app on there that I can turn on, and she can't start texting people or changing settings on me or anything like that. But really the main technology she's exposed to is just the music that we play for her. Though of course the main thing that we do with her that's the most important for babies is just play with her, talk with her, spend time with her, give her lots of cuddles and kisses and love. Really, that's the most important thing for brain development at this age. Well, probably at any age, really. But yeah, so that's kind of how we homeschool, and if it sounds like things that every parent should be doing, then it is. But that doesn't mean that it's not homeschool, because again, I just view homeschooling as life. Just life experiences and enjoying learning. I want her to be able to be a I want her to be able to participate in society the way that, she should. So I will start her off right away, getting her to the point where that's what she can do. Though as she gets a little bit older, my goals for, I'd say about now to age 3, is first to get her talking. And once she can talk, then we'll start showing her letters and getting her to recognize her letters. And same with numbers. We'll show her numbers and get her recognizing the numbers. And when she knows her ABCs, and when she can count to probably about 10, then we'll start focusing on her reading and simple math. So the way we'll get her reading is so right now I'm thinking for reading we'll probably use Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. I've heard a lot of great things about that one. I am going to be checking it out of the library pretty soon so that I can flip through it and see if that is actually what I think that will be best for us. I also like the Bob's books, so I will be hopefully looking more into those. I'm hoping to be able to find them used so that I can not have to spend much money on them. So right now the plan is to kind of mix the two, just because I want her to get a really thorough understanding of reading. But again, that's not something I'm really going to be worrying about for a few years. Probably around age 3 is when we'll start. That doesn't mean that she'll be reading by 3, nor does it mean that we'll necessarily teach her to read at that age. It really depends on if she's ready and interested. I'm not too concerned about her being able to, really, as far as I'm concerned, if she could read by 6, that's all that matters. So between the age of 3 and 6, that'll be really when I'm focusing on getting her to read. And if she doesn't read by 6, that's fine. But if she's interested in learning to read at 3, that's when I'll start introducing it to see where her interest lies. As for numbers and simple math, well, we first intend to start showing her, okay, so this is the number 1, and this is what 1 represents, and we'll take one toy rabbit with the number 1 and show her 1. And then, 2 balls with the number 2 and show her that that's 2, and so on and so forth. And then we'll teach her simple addition and subtraction by basically adding and taking away things. So if you take 1 bunny plus 2 toy balls, that equals 3 toys. And stuff like that. So that's basically how we're going to teach her simple math to begin with. Nothing too expensive, nothing that we really have to spend a whole lot of money on. We definitely don't intend to go for any boxed curriculums at any point in time. I'm not sure exactly how we'll be doing like 6 to... Actually, her birthday's in November. And here, it's... The cutoff is 6 as of September, which means she'll almost be 7 when the cutoff is, and that's when I intend to put her in school, or like sign up for a homeschooling board. I don't want to put her in earlier than that because I think that that's unnecessary stress for her. If I can, get her enjoying school and not having to worry about being responsible for doing any worksheets or anything like that to show her work, then that's what I want. So until she's almost 7, I won't be putting her into any sort of formal schooling. But just really focusing on early math and early reading. My partner is a biologist by trade, so she will be learning science fairly early on, but that'll be basically discussion based. When we go to the science center, we'll point things out to her. When we go for walks, he's a botanist, so he'll point out different things about the plants, stuff like that. Our plan for technology is to not really let her play video games until she's about 6-ish. We see learning games a bit differently, so there is one website, ABC Mouse, that I've been looking into, and I'm thinking when she's starting to be interested in learning to read, we'll sign her up for that. We might get her, things like leap pads or leapsters or whatever. Again, not 100% sure about that. It's basically just kind of like, when she shows interest, we'll pick technology that we feel is appropriate. We do have video game systems, and we have computer games. We both play games, so she will probably be interested in playing games fairly early. However, we don't watch TV ourselves, so she won't really be exposed to much TV at any point. Though, of course, there's always smartphones. We both have smartphones. And again, she already likes to play with mine. So I have a feeling that she will be playing learning games on our smartphones fairly early on. But again, we will stick with just learning things and try not to let her play too much with our smartphones, just so that she's not getting too reliant on the technology. And then I have a history and I have a degree in history and another degree in philosophy. So again, we'll be taking her to museums. We don't have like yearly passes to the museums or anything around here, but there are a few different museums, so we'll probably take her to each of them when she's a little bit older. We don't really see much point in taking her quite yet because she can't really get much out of them yet. But when she's starting to walk around, then we'll take her to the Children's Museum so that she can play and explore. But I'll be like talking history with her, asking her lots of questions and getting her thinking. But really our long-term goal as far as homeschooling goes is to teach her how to think and critical thinking, as opposed to teaching her what to think. As far as learning methods go, there's a few different homeschool theories that I like. One of my favorite is Montessori. So when she's really young, we'll be trying to do Montessori style schooling with her. So getting her some nice hands-on tools to play with and letting her just explore. It seems like a good idea. Da da. Ah da da da. I also like Charlotte Mason's style. I like the idea of using literature as a main component of teaching everything. So we'll be finding a way to implement that as we start to structure things a bit more. I also like the idea of classical homeschooling, but I'm not sure exactly how much of that we will have the opportunity to implement. I would definitely have to adjust that quite a bit. My main interest in that is teaching her Latin and Ancient Greek, since I have taken Ancient Greek and Latin in school, though I definitely focused more on Ancient Greek. And again, I have a degree in philosophy and another one in history, so the classical method kind of plays to my interests quite a bit. So again, would have to adjust it to fit our other interests if we were going to do that, but it's one thing that I'm interested in. We might try implementing unit studies, but again, I'm not 100% sure. There's aspects of unit studies that I really like, but again, we'd have to work it around our other interests. And I think in the early years we'll be kind of implementing Montessori and unschooling in a bit of a eclectic mix. Overall, we would be eclectic homeschoolers. We don't really have a particular style that we focus exclusively on or have a sole interest in. There's certain aspects of Waldorf schooling that I wouldn't mind implementing, particularly as far as music and art go. So yeah, there's quite a few different types of homeschooling that I really see a lot of value in and I want to implement. And I am currently working on finding a way to make it our own. Though, of course, I will have to adjust things as she grows to fit her personality and her interests. I can see a bit of her personality now. Actually, quite a bit of it. She's quite a mover. I'm sure she will prefer to do things hands-on. So that is definitely going to be a large aspect of it, making sure things are as hands-on as possible. I also like the idea of role schooling, so we'll see about implementing some role-playing games in her schooling. But again, it really depends on her. Who she ends up being, what her interests end up being, will determine how we homeschool, what kind of aspects we throw in, how we change things up. Because we both know how we learn. We know how we will teach her best. So it's really just seeing how she will learn best. So that's my plan for homeschooling right now. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. And whether or not you want to homeschool and why or why not, whether or not you do already homeschool, what the advantages and disadvantages are in your opinion, and if you homeschool, how do you homeschool, when did you start, and how do you view homeschooling? Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of my videos, please subscribe.